In today's program, you will learn where in Azerbaijan Guba carpets are being weaved and how much time it takes to produce one carpet. Is a computer capable of embroidering, and how does it do it? How to create bright and extraordinary things using batik technique. In Azerbaijan life, carpets are not only a valuable thing but also a work of art, a gift, and even an object that has healing properties. Carpets are a symbol of comfort, and probably therefore women are mainly engaged in carpet weaving. There is not a single region in Azerbaijan that is not famous for its carpets, ornaments, and carpet weaving techniques. Today we will talk about how carpets are being weaved in Azerbaijan. It's about Guba carpets. In the north of the country, in the Guba area, they are woven in the traditional way, by hand. Umay is engaged in carpet weaving from her youth. She now owns her own workshop, where Guba carpets are weaved. They differ from others in ornaments. Carpets are woven on these looms. We call them khana. This one is our largest machine. We rarely use it, because it's used only for carpets of 30-35 square meters. And in case of a special order, 8 to 9 masters can simultaneously work on it. While we do not have such orders, the machine is not working now. This one of the 3 carpets that we are preparing at the moment. As you can see, at the beginning of the threads, such a frame is created. In different techniques of carpet weaving, they are distinguished by density. Here, for every 10 centimeters of area, there are 40-42 loops, and sometimes more than 48 loops. It depends on the thickness of the thread. This one has 44 loops. The number of loops affects how subtle and beautiful the ornaments on carpets will be.
Kalınlığından aslı olarak değişir.
These threads, designed for weaving, are made of wool. After dyeing and drying, the wool is twisted into balls of yarn and then used for work.
Bizim iplərimizin gördüyünüz bu rənglərin çoxu təbii yollarla alınmış.
These threads are dyed with natural dyes. For example, we get red color from plants that grow in our forests. Brown color we get from walnut peel. Other shades can be obtained by mixing different plants. The advantage of such paints is that they are durable, do not fade, remain fresh for a long time. The role of these tools is not less important than the machine, threads, and colors. This claw-like instrument is called hava. It is used to secure the thread in the frame. Without it, the carpet won't be as dense, and the ornaments will not have those shapes as they are represented in the sketch.
Renk dayanıqlığı çox möhkəmdir.
Threads are secured so the patterns are not dissolved, they're intact. Scissors cut the tips of the threads for evenness. When you look at the carpet, a thought arises as if a special automatic machine was working on it, because it obtains such a smooth surface. This is the skill of the hands.
Xalça yuma yerlərinə təqdim eləmirlər. Guba xalçaların
Ornaments originated in our region, and they are passed down from generation to generation. We keep this tradition and pass it on. This carpet is called chichi. It is dominated by patterns in the form of small flowers. It gives the carpet a very rich form.
Başqa bir xalçada sizə misal çəkə bilərəm.
This carpet got its name Kris, thanks to the Kris area, which is located in Gubinsky district. It differs from others in that it's very saturated with ornaments. The carpet is so tightly covered with patterns that not a single centimeter of the surface remains without a pattern. Therefore, these carpets are very valuable.
Xalça da həqiqətdə də bu xalçaların özü evdə olanda müsbət.
Carpets are still sources of health. When a carpet is laid at home, they say it absorbs dust, prevents germs from spreading, but it also creates a positive aura. Carpets are woven from natural wool. The peculiarity of this material is that it gives an acupuncture effect. Therefore, walking barefoot on the carpet is very useful. To produce one carpet, it takes a lot of time, sometimes from 5 months to 2 years. It depends on the complexity and size. Experienced craftswomen need a whole day to weave only 3 centimeters. Therefore, handmade carpets are very valuable. When a girl gets married in Azerbaijan, carpets become an indispensable element of a dowry. Once all the patterns of the fabric were created manually, it took weeks for a seamstress to make a thing bright and unique with the help of bright threads and needles. Sewing machines were used on an industrial scale, but the craftswomen still had to manually keep the line. Over time, this became archaism. Computer embroidery has revived embroidery on clothes, returning its former fashion. Today in the Art of Making program, we will learn how this process works. Meet Yana Breosova, director of a trade and manufacturing company for sewing clothes. As an experienced seamstress and expert in computer embroidery, she will show this process to us in detail. It all starts in the design department. The specialist receives a drawing from the customer, which must be transferred to fabric. The digital image is pre-processed before it is sent to the automated embroidery machine. This isn't the same as printing a document on a printer. There are many nuances here. For example, a picture contains a large number of details of color transitions. To fully transfer it to the fabric is impossible. The reason is quite simple. What cannot be done manually will not work with computer embroidery. First of all, the designer translates the digital image into a sewing sketch. Already you can see how embroidery will look like in real life up to each line. At this stage, the designer can change such parameters as the color or size of the pattern, or make more significant adjustments such as length, thickness, and even the direction of certain elements of the pattern. An important caveat: at the same time, an automated sewing machine embroiders only with one thread color. It takes a little time to replace the coil. To speed up this process, the designer needs to set the order of the phase drawing of the elements of the pattern by color. For example, first the yellow details of the picture, and then blue. Also, depending on the image element, specialist selects the density and type of stitch. The correctness of the specified embroidery settings is checked by the process visualization. Measure it 7 times, cut it once, and note a dash that has not lost its significance in the age of high technology. The picture is ready for embroidery. On paper, more precisely on the screen, everything's fine. And what will happen in reality? Now we will check. The thumbnail file is copied to a USB drive. Then it will be loaded into the automated embroidery machine. But besides the so-called flash drive with our sketch, it's necessary to install hoops holding the fabric into the device. To do this, in the Department of Cutting and Sewing specialists need to prepare the material. A specialist goes there. First of all, the material is glued to the lining fabric. This is done in order to seal and increase the rigidity of the material as well as its reliable fixation in the hoop. The main thing to carefully iron both parts for reliable gluing. Then the fabric is set in the hoop. The quality of the work done is checked. Now the specialist has everything necessary for the process of automated embroidery. Then he goes to the Department of Computer Embroidery. Here it is. The main hero of our program is the quintessence of many years of sewing experience in computer technology. First of all, the specialist loads the sketch into the device. Then the device is installed in the hoop. Then follows the pressing of the treasured Start button. By the way, have you noticed that only one person is involved at all stages? It turns out that when producing small or individual batches of embroidery, the designer can handle it alone. When there are large volumes of embroidery, specialists come to the aid of colleagues. Done. The machine stopped. As in any business, the only thing left is to make the final touches. The material is removed from the hoop. After that, the removal of the remnants of threads and fabric occurs. These are production costs, so to speak. The excess material is cut off. The whole process took no more than 20 minutes. Well done, Yana. Interestingly, how much time would it take if you embroider this pattern manually? Batik is a hand painting on the fabric. The first references to the word batik can be found in Dutch manuscripts of the 17th century. That's how they called any fabric covered with patterns. This word has Indonesian roots, translated as drop of wax. There is evidence of earlier finds of batik. During the excavation of the Egyptian tombs, fabrics were discovered, some of which were painted in batik technique. This kind of applied art can be used on almost any fabric: silk, cotton, wool. Today we will tell how silk painting is done. Before starting work, the fabric, and in this case silk, is stretched onto the frame so that the material does not sag. There are several techniques of batik: hot batik, cold, knotted, and free painting.
Сегодня мы сделаем платочек.
Today we will make a handkerchief in two techniques, in cold painting and hot. We begin at first to apply the picture with a gold outline.
Контуром золота нанесу орнамент.
I will put an ornament. Drawing can be applied both with a stencil and without it. In this case, I have an impromptu. For cold batik, a special reserving compound is used. That is, the coating does not let the paint to go out of contour. It also prevents paints from mixing and emphasizes the pattern. When using the technique of hot batik, the process begins with the application of melted wax on the fabric along the contour of the pattern. That's why the technique is called hot. Wax is applied with a special tool called chanting.
Ну а сейчас мы приступаем к росписи нашего платочка.
Well, now we begin to paint our scarf. This is the most important and most interesting in batik. We will first paint the central part and then proceed to the ornament. It will dry out here. It needs time to dry, approximately 10-15 minutes.
Контур сохнет примерно 10-15 минут.
When the drawing is ready, we apply paint. The wizard uses several colors at the same time. For batik, as a rule, they apply water-based paints. If necessary, they can be mixed in order to get the appropriate tonality and saturation. Paints for batik are thick and liquid, water-based and acrylic. They also use vapor-fixed paints. These are paints that need to be steamed later using a special design with boiling water. After this treatment, the pattern on the fabric becomes more harmonious and the paint more durable. For those who are just starting to work on the technique of batik, paint is quite suitable, which is fixed with the help of a hot iron. All you need is to hold a hot iron on the fabric. This procedure allows the picture to gain a foothold, and the paint does not come off during washing. Depending on the idea, salt is applied to the paint, which, as it dries, has an effect on paints, creating new pictures.
Пока я буду двигаться.
While I will paint in the top picture, the bottom will already dry out.
В данном случае у нас рамочка в виде...
As you can see in this case, our frame turned out to be in the form of an ornament. Now we will highlight it with paints. You can use any color. Well, for example, green. After our pattern on the fabric dries, we gently shake off the salt, then remove it from the frame and iron. In order to remove the wax, we use the usual household iron. We also need paper or newspaper, so we gently iron the design, and the wax from the fabric stays on paper.
Кладем пару газет.
We put a couple of newspapers down, put our scarf on top, and on top of the scarf another layer of paper or newspaper.
Тоже так, одну-две, потому что у нас сейчас впитается весь.
You can have several layers of paper, stroking iron, and so the paper absorbs all the paraffin from the fabric. Kids love hot batik because for them it's magic.
Воск снимаешь на газету.
When you take off the wax on the newspaper, and where does it go? Interesting. Well, that's it, our scarf is ready. It turned out bright and most importantly, exclusive. The batik technique allows you to paint not only scarves, but also any other clothes, giving it its own particular individuality.